If you're interested in improving your handwriting or just bettering it in general, then welcome to this video. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So this is probably my most highly requested video ever, but it is how to improve your handwriting. And so in this video, I thought I'd offer some of my personal insight and advice as to how to actually do that. So my first tip is to just kind of figure out why you're changing your handwriting in the first place. So I know it's going to vary from person to person, and that's totally okay, but the reason I'm recommending this is just because having some sort of reason as to why you're doing this is just going to motivate you later on when we get into some steps that definitely require much more time and just much more work than others. And so just having that little reason and just having it in the back of your mind is just going to help you motivate yourself and just keep on going. So this next piece of advice I have for you is to just kind of get a general feel of what your handwriting actually looks like. So I'd recommend actually writing the alphabet and try to make it in your most normal handwriting. So don't try to make it extra perfect or neat, and in contrast, don't try to make it extra sloppy or extra messy. Just write it as normally as you can. And also I'd recommend adding in a couple of panagrams, and those are just sentences that incorporates all the letters in the alphabet. That way you can see what your handwriting actually looks like with actual words, which is definitely very important. So for this next step, you're going to look back at all the handwriting samples that you just did, and you're going to look at them and you're going to think to yourself, okay, what do I actually like about it and what do I not like about it? So I just recommend taking a different color pen and just circling all those letters that you personally don't like the look of, you just don't like how they're formed for whatever reason, you just don't like them. Just circle them. That way when we get later into this video, you'll be able to just assess and figure out how to change them. So for this next step, you're gonna want to look up some inspiration and just kind of find a handwriting sample that you really like and want to achieve. I don't know about you guys, but I absolutely hate researching. It's just not my thing. It takes the fun out of everything. So if you're like me, I feel like you could totally kind of skip this step, just kind of skim through it and not really do it. But if you have no idea what you're doing, then you should probably do some of your research. But yeah, if you are like me and you're kind of lazy to research, then here are just some recommendations or things that you can consider when it comes to your handwriting. Number 1, refrain from making little loops in your letters. So that's most commonly seen in the letters G, Y, and D. Number 2 would be to make sure that you're closing your letters completely. Number 3, make sure all the letters are kind of close to each other and make sure it's consistent throughout. Number 4, refrain from elongating your ascenders and descenders and instead try making them shorter. Number 5, try making your handwriting that perfect size where it fits in between the two lines in college ruled paper. And finally, number 6, try emphasizing the rounder parts of your letters more and making them a lot bigger. So this next part is probably the most time consuming, but this is the part where you actually change your handwriting and figure out how it's going to look like. So there are so many factors that you need to consider before you even try changing the letters. So one thing that I definitely recommend is trying to figure out how much pen pressure you like to apply. You also want to think about how exactly you want to hold your pen, as this can make such a big difference. This is how I like to hold my pen. I'm not sure how to describe it, but you can see for yourself. It works the best for me, but I do encourage you to just kind of try it out and just figure out what works best for you. Another thing to consider is to decide what type of pen you actually want to use. So I know there's so many different types of pen, but I think the gel pen and the ballpoint pen are the most popular. I personally recommend using a gel pen just because I think it has super smooth ink and it's just very consistent. I use a Pentel Energel 0.05 pen, and it just works super well for me. There's not that much bleeding, ink is very consistent, so I'd highly recommend that. So now we're actually going to change our letters and our handwriting finally. So I would recommend making this table, and on one side you have the original letter or how you normally write it, and on the other side you have the new and modified version. So just do this to all the letters that you do want to change, and then below that write down your new and modified alphabet, and then below that write down your new and modified pentagram. So really take this time to practice and get a feel for how these new letters look like, how you're actually writing them, how the new letters are being formed, and it's totally okay to make as many mistakes as you do make. I know I ended up making a lot of mistakes, and that's totally okay. So do take this as like a learning process. Do keep learning from this and just keep on trying. So this last tip is, I know you probably don't want to hear it, but it is just to keep on practicing and practicing and practicing, because ultimately that is the only way you are actually going to change your handwriting. You don't have to do the entire thing at once. You don't have to change every single letter at once. You can literally just take it one step at a time. So changing one letter a day. So one day you change one letter, and then the next day you change that letter and another letter, and you just keep on going and just keep on practicing, and eventually you will get it. If you're still here and sticking around at this point, you'll probably know that I'm very bad at ending videos, but this is the end of the video, and I hope you enjoyed these tips and advice, and I will see you guys later. Bye.